Hello, welcome to Trev Talks Tech. Well, what have I got in the box? Because that's what this video is going to be about. It'll be in several bits by the time it actually comes out. But here today, this is the 8th of August, and I've just received this. And this is the xTool M2. The xTool M2, as you are probably aware, possibly aware, is a laser cutter and etcher. It's very, very new to the market. It's quite amazing actually that this at this price point you can now get a device like this. It just goes to show where the whole business of laser crafting, etching, cutting, etc. is going. This particular one is the one of the bundles, and it combines a 10-watt diode laser with a CMYK print head as well. And I say combines, you can interchange the two, and you can basically leave your workpiece within the unit. You may have laser cut it to cut out sections like a jigsaw, or like one of those wonderful wooden puzzles that you get that I have a few examples of in this room. And then you can then overprint it as well with color and ink. And of course, you can imagine the results might be varied on that, depending on what kind of material you're using, how porous it is, and so on. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Now, this is an unboxing, and in this section, yes, of course, what you're going to see me do is take it out of the box. This sometimes seems to come as a surprise to people, that this is what an unboxing is. And of course, what I'm going to do is just to undo the packaging, and we'll take a look at all the component parts, etc., that come with it, and then we'll look at putting it together, assembling the whole thing, and we'll get an initial first impression. What we'll then do ultimately is to move on to creating a first workpiece. I'm very excited about the idea of being able to use a laser for doing etching wood, etching on wood into plywood, that kind of thing, and getting maybe a photograph, black and white photo, maybe of my new granddaughter, something like that, and building it in onto the wood, with burning it on the wood with the old diode system in here. So it's got that, it's got the printing, and there are a couple of other options available too. There is I say available, actually it's on pre-order currently, so you can pre-order the 20-watt laser diode, or there is an option being produced for a 3-watt infrared laser, and at that wavelength it's very good for etching metal. I don't think it's going to have particularly good metal cutting properties, so I haven't really looked into that. I suppose if it's very thin metal, then perhaps that's a possibility. Now, they distinguish between a diode laser and an infrared laser, and I'm only assuming there that the infrared laser is not actually a diode type laser, so I'm not quite sure what kind of tube or device the infrared laser is. Perhaps I should look into that and let you know. Anyway, so let's get on with it. I'm going to find an appropriate tool to open this box, and we'll see what's inside. Okay, so let's make a start here. So this it's quite basic. I don't think we're into Apple territory here when it comes to the way that their packaging is done. It arrived like this. There was no external packaging. There was no plastic bag over it or anything like that. So anyone that who saw the parcel knew exactly what was inside it. There is already, as you can see, a couple of QR codes on here. You might not be able to see exactly, but so there is a QR code here for the support guide. Plenty of information there. We're going to get into that. And packaging, plastic packaging, but it's all this ice pop stuff, popsicle you might call it if you're in a different country. Yeah, might be fun to pop that later. Put that to one side, or I might just save it, because if this needs to go back at any point, or I sell it on, I would like to sell it with the original packaging. Ugh. I very rarely sell things on because I just think one day I will use them again, and I'm quite sure that maybe a lot of you out there are the same. I do sell things occasionally, but you know, I buy things because I'm interested in them, and it's I don't often get to the point where I've actually got everything, you know, out of the thing before I sell it on. If I get that interested in something, I probably wouldn't sell it anyhow. Anyway, I digress. Let's have a look at this. So I've got the ooh, okay. So let's lift this out of the cardboard box. And I'm going to put that down out of the way and put the packaging back in. It's rather like when I took the System 55 synthesizer out of the box, and some people commented that congratulations, I took something out of the box. Yes, that's actually quite a simple setup, isn't it? That's simple to actually get out. Let's move the box out of the way, put the unit where the box was, is about where the box will no longer be. Oh, and yes, the unit is considerably smaller than the packaging, thankfully. It's still quite deep. And I'm looking at it and actually thinking, where the hell here in the studio do I have the space to put this? The answer is I don't, quite frankly. Studio wasn't really designed to take this amount of stuff. In fact, it was designed to take them to rebuild cars originally. Before I took this place on, it was actually owned by someone whose main interest was rebuilding classic cars. And I saw this room, the studio, and I thought to myself, that would be fantastic for photography, which has been a main hobby of mine for some time. But to be honest with you, the interest in photography kind of declined somewhat, and I started going back to my earlier roots of making things. So we've got tapes here to pull to get the side off. You can see you've got this massive amber lid here, which of course is designed to screen the laser. We need to remember that there is a laser in this device, and it's a substantial one. Okay, so there is another piece of foam in here, and my god, look at this. I'm going to zoom in on this and just take a look at all of that stuff. So there is a complete set of things here. So I can see just now we've got some of that is actually just protecting the traction and movement there. We've got an exhaust. There is an exhaust unit here, which is designed to go into an air purifier or something. Now, I don't have that here. My other concern about this is what I do about the exhaust air from the cutting process. And I was under the impression, in fact, that it actually comes with an air filter. So I'll let you know. Let's take out the big bit there. I'll leave the plastic on the lid for the moment. There's actually you won't see it just here. I'm just going to bring this up. There's actually a camera in the lid right here, and it's looking over. There we go. It's a camera right here in the lid, and it's looking down on whatever workpiece you have set. And I think we'll see in the studio software that goes with this that the camera is going to enable you to place whatever design you want over it. So we've got a CMYK printer module. Let's put these to one side. And various bits of foam as well. This is actually the printer module as well. So this is the one with the space for the printer inside it. Let's take our next thing. Oh, there are some related printer accessories here. something that says that it's moisturizing liquid, and we've got a couple of little jigs and something looks very much like the that'll be a base to clip under the printer module to stop it from drying up, won't it? And maybe just padding off any waste ink and things. So looks like moisturizing liquid. Makes me think that that's got something to do with being able to keep the printer ink fairly fluid. There's even a little ferrite core here. Now I wonder what that's for, but it looks probably goes on a cable somewhere. So we've got some interesting stuff to do there. Then we've got the bottom, we've got the manual. So we've got a manual. This is actually a start here manual, followed by safety instructions, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to read these before proceeding any further. My motto used to be, if all else fails, read the instruction manual. And now I remind myself to RTFM before I do anything with kit now, because it's become so complex that actually discerning what's going on is that much harder now. Here is the power supply. Power supply is a barrel jack, and just looking at the supply, the output is 4.8 amps, 25 volts, 4.8 amps, 120 watts. That is quite a substantial power supply. It's not your average laptop power supply. I think it actually beats the adapter power supply to my sort of miniature circular saw in the workshop as well. So that's quite a thing. Okay, we're getting through the bits. I should have lifted the whole thing out. Got what looks like some silicone grease and maintenance tools here. We've got a whole host of little bits and pieces here, adapters for different USB types. What looks like, I say, silicone grease, we know. Module connection cable for, you have to attach, once you hook the module onto the carriage, you need to connect it as well. USB cable adapter, grease, magnetic fixtures, interesting, I think that's for holding things down on the workbase. Hex screwdriver and hex screws. So we will see what they're for. Now we're getting to the good stuff. This is the laser diode module. The basic one that comes with this is 10 watts. There you go, there's the bottom of it, and that's a 10 watt laser energy will pop out of there. That's a substantial amount of laser power. So looking forward to seeing that in action. So there's a 10 watt on the top. So there is a 20 watt version of this. The 20 watt version, as far as I've seen, it will set you back over £500, and there's a dollar-pound conversion. Basically, it's the same price if you're buying it in, the same number if you're buying it in pounds or dollars, it would seem, from what I've seen. So I want to say $4.99 for the infrared laser, but that's only on pre-order right now. The 10 watt laser is the one that is shipping with the unit. The 20 watt laser, I think that is still pre-order as well, and might just be coming into circulation, but that's even dearer. I think that's over something like $5.50. I'll put the full spec in the video. You'll see all of this. Right, so that's those bits. We've then got what I brought out earlier, which is the this is the vent that goes to the air purifier unit, which I'm now thinking I might have to invest in. So I'm not sure this room is really the right environment to just have free floating smoke. And there's also a little reel of masking tape. How cute is that? And that's obviously for fixing whatever materials you have to the bottom. So there you go, that's a lot of that. On the bottom here, I've got piece of that card as a supply item, I suppose. There is also a piece of some black and some pink material here, card. and and also for your first test piece, a roughly I would suppose A5-ish size of birch plywood as well, with a backing card. So we've got some materials to actually practice with. This is good, isn't it? All this stuff you get with this unit. That's more packaging. My loft is groaning under the weight of all of the different units boxes I keep from buying things. That's embarrassing. More packaging there. And if I just bring this carriage forward, which it will do, I know it will do quite happily, and bring out the final piece of foam there. So there is the whole unit, and it's designed to work completely onto this metal base. Now, what happens when you have I don't know what happens when you have a metal piece that is a 20-watt laser strong enough to cut metal, when this surface is already metal. I don't know. There's some targets, I see some lining here, and I presume that enables that is enabling the calibration system to work effectively. There's a push button on the front for doing, which is for start, stop and things. And then we've got the logo. This is the first part of this then. There's the carriage. We're all used to seeing this kind of XY axis device now, and of course the 3D printer behind it has the X-axis, Z-axis as well. So we've got that kind of carriage, big stepper motors and tooth belts, that sort of thing, all designed to make it very, very accurate. Really looking forward to getting into this. My next thing to do will be to locate a place for it, and I guess I'm going to read the manual. So there you have it. That's the unboxing of the xTool M2. We've got two different heads, power supply, venting equipment, test pieces of we can start out with as well. Some of that might be to do with calibration. I noticed one's got a QR code on it, a piece of wood I've got there. Yeah, I've got to find a home for all this packaging as well. And for the money, I think it's probably one of the best devices on the market at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of things it can't do, won't do, but for a lot of jobs, cutting relatively thin pieces, even making, say, wooden puzzles, printing on wood, printing on card, just going to have a lot of fun with this, and maybe integrating bits that this will do with things that the 3D printer does and what have you. We're going to create some interesting stuff. Applications for which I'm not sure. We'll see what comes out of it. I have some ideas. I have some ideas around photography and things of that nature. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of doing, a bit of playing with. So I'm going to get this lot set up, and I will see you in the next segment. This segment was then followed by a week in Glasgow, so I didn't get back to doing anything else for quite a while. And now read on. So here's the next part of the unboxing process. Got all the bits and pieces out. We've already seen those, of course, from the previous unboxing. There's the laser. Don't look into that bit, not that you're ever going to. I've got a little USB cable here. It's not going to be long enough for where my PC is located, so I'll find a different one. But it even comes with the screwdriver. And Heng Sheng. I'm assuming that they modern speak. That means it's really good grease. So it's really fit. So that is going to be what we put on the slides in a moment. There is the printer module, and there's some other moisturizing liquid, the purpose of which I think is to do with the printer, of course, the printer ink. And there's the smoke outlet. Now I also have purchased a smoke purifying unit, because I can't always open the window in here, and if I just don't want it to be that cold, quite frankly, in this room. So I've arranged for a little smoke purifier unit to do most of the filtration. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. So there you go, there's the bits there. Over here, if I just move over here, here is the actual unit, everything emptied out. And the first thing I need to do is to bring this carriage over, and it has this unit here is able to slide up and down, as we can see. It's actually on a return spring, interestingly. And there are some rails. There's a rail there, and there are some rails around here. I don't think they're terribly visible, but there are just underneath. Got my camera here. There we go. There's a rail under there, and that needs to be lubricated with the pen grease, so it'll be really fit when I'm finished. Right, that's the first bit. Let's get that underway. Apparently 3 times is enough. Okay, so there's the other rail. I think it's just those two. Nothing over that side. Make sure I've got plenty of grease on that. Now we have the smoke exhaust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the original one. Let's just get the Jubilee clip over it first. It's about as fully extended as it can be. And that goes over there like so. It's exciting, isn't it? I know. The only thing is getting that pulled out to the right diameter. So it doesn't seem to... The end of this is sort of dipped, so it's not a dead flush to the hole here. Let's try it from this side, see if that goes on nicely. Sort of does. Let's try it. Anyone who's fitted a tumble dryer will know about this whole process, unless you've got one of those fancy new condenser ones. But if you've ever had one of any device really, or a bathroom fan maybe. By the way, I have seen on YouTube there are people who are doing this. They're just adapting this hole to a larger size tumble dryer exhaust and going straight through like a bathroom fan, a ceiling, you know, an inline ceiling fan. It's designed to go in the loft or something, in the attic. And then what they're doing is taking it straight out of a window or something like that, or to if they've got a convenient place they can exhaust it to. I don't, not in here. Like I say, I have set this up adjacent to a window, so certainly I can direct this pipe out of a window, and I may well do that at times. But I'm not minded to do it just now. What I'm going to do is set up the smoke purifier and sort that out. Incidentally, this unit does have a, you can see there's a hole just here. There's an input to look for a small tube to go in here. It's like a spring coupling for a small tube, and that's for a fire suppression system. Now, I haven't seen any product to actually fit in here, so I have no idea what's going to be involved with that. It's obviously not strictly necessary. As long as you never leave this device unattended while it's running, it's fine. You should be able to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't catch fire and burn your property down. Anyway, so that's the pipe connected. I'm going to run that around the side of the table, but while I'm back here, I'm just going to point out the power switch, which is here. Around the side is the hole. There are some expansion ports, and I can only assume that maybe one of those is designed to connect to some sort of fire suppression system that goes through that other hole just here. We'll see about that. I'm going to get the power on, and I'll get the purifier set up. I'll show you that as it goes together as well, and then we'll take it from there. You definitely need some kind of smoke exhaust system with one of these, and it's the only bugbear about this kind of thing. For 3D printing, yeah, you can have, you know, over here, a 3D printer. This is a bamboo 3D printer just here, and this is venting straight out into the room. And while the fumes aren't particularly, you know, they're not exactly the sweetest thing you've ever smelt, they're not terribly serious. If I was using certain other kinds of plastic, maybe not. I mean, I've only got PLA and PETG in here. There's probably other plastics where I ought to take more notice of that. And generally, I'm not in the room while it's running, and the fumes do actually dissipate. So I don't regard that as much of a problem. Although I could use the air purifier that I've got for the laser cutter with that if necessary. So back to the laser cutter. Going to get all that hooked up and put the purifier together, and then we'll take it from there. So just before I carry on with this, here is the fume extractor I bought from eBay. I'll leave a link somewhere. And there's the power supply input and the on-off button. Got a couple of carry handles. It's a very, very basic idea, and it's just got a large inductor fan at the bottom. I'll just take this off here. So I've got a seal there. I've got this very fibrous primary filter, which I hope is something safe. Underneath that, we've got a main air filter, and then we've got that's like a HEPA filter. And this one is a charcoal activated filter, although I'm noticing that around the edges you can see daylight through that, and so I'm just hoping that it does actually do the proper job of clearing out all the fumes, because it doesn't seem to be a continuous filter. So anyway, but that's that. It all seems pretty good. I mean, it's got 3-stage filtration. And it does come with some additional filters. I've got 3 additional filters. Yeah. I don't know how you get spares for any of the other ones. And that's the trouble with a lot of these units. You know, xTool, of course, do have an air purifier, but it will cost you a lot more than something like this. And let's be honest, there's any number of these different kind of devices online that will do the job. You don't have to pay out for big money for xTool's version if you don't want to. There's the manual for it. You can see what it's going to look like, and over here are the other accessories. So it's yet another switch mode power supply. That's another sort of spiking load on my power supply in this building. There is an adapter for the different sizes of pipe, and you see we've got 2 different sizes of pipe there. This adapter is designed to be screwed on to the top of the purifier, of course, and then you can see it's got a thread on the inside for the smaller pipe that comes with it, and one on the outside, a Jubilee clip on the outside, which is going to be for the 110mm pipe, or whatever it is. Might be 100 actually. Anyway, because there is that. Not decided which one I'm going to use, because the problem I have is that neither of those sizes is the same as the one that comes out of the back of the cutter. That cutter pipe, I'm just going to show you this. The cutter pipe is nicely installed over there it is, coming out the back. The pipe will sit under there, and that will be where everything goes for the fume extraction. Okay, so here under the table there is my smoke extractor, and it turns out that the pipe from the X2 is actually just quite nicely fits with the internal diameter of the larger pipe on here. So I've just got that Jubilee clipped together. That should make a pretty efficient seal overall, and bear in mind the negative pressure on that seal that we're going to have, because this is going to be pulling air through. So I just need to get a mains adapter here, and it's going to go up to an adjacent socket. I don't like switch mode power supplies continuously running at the best of times, so I'm going to be very careful about running these. You know, what's the brand of this? It says it's double insulated. That's what those little concentric squares mean, for indoor use and so on. But yeah, I actually don't know the model particularly, so I do like to turn things off when they're not in use. Let's move on. Okay, everything's plugged in down there. I've just attached the laser, and you can see it's just magnet. It's just a magnet. It just switches on, clips on like that, and you can see we've got a port there, and we've got one here. I'm just going to plug that in. So still a few stages to go, but get in there slowly. Oh, and there's another little bracket to be installed over here, and it's for retaining the lid of the printer module when that's in use. It automatically takes the lid off the printer module for you when it goes to print, and then puts it back on to stop the ink from drying out. Just putting the printer module together, and here is the cartridge. So the first thing you have to do with the cartridge is a little bracket to take off the rather extensive print head. It looks like an HP print cartridge on steroids. It's huge, and it's going to go in here. Now it says in the instructions you should hear a click. Now there is a little catch down here. Can you see that little catch? Let me just turn this towards the light a bit more. That little angled catch there at the bottom, just below the print contacts, that is supposed to be catching on this little plastic catch. And try to get this cartridge in. Not really a one-handed operation, this. There you go. Now it's in. It won't easily pop out, but I wouldn't say there's any definite click there whatsoever. This is the cover to go over it to keep the print head moist. You can see it's got the little rubber cup here. There's some moisturizing liquid which I believe is possibly supposed to go into that little rubber cup. For now I'm just going to put that in there, and then once that's in you can close the door. There you go. So that's the whole print module there. That was a bit faffy. It didn't feel as positive as I would like. So the supplied bracket has a little black screw, and the unit does come, helpfully, with an Allen key tool or hex key tool. So yeah, what I took to be perhaps a screwdriver isn't actually. It's an Allen key, and purely for aesthetics, I suppose, they've actually included a black screw. So let's take out the original silver screw. Why they put a bolt in to start with, I don't really know. Here it is. So that's just going to fit on there. It's provided with this black screw, so I'm going to assume, not unreasonably, that is intended to replace the silver one. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's any longer or bigger. If anything, it's a slightly weedier looking screw than the one it was designed to replace. There we go. That all just fits in. There's a little registration pin there to keep the whole thing together. And there it goes. So now I've got just a spare screw to find a home for. I think it's all the other screws that hold the tray in underneath are actually of the same silver type. So I guess that means I've got a spare. At this point I was going to talk about USB connectivity, and while you do need that to get the Wi-Fi set up, yes, there is Wi-Fi. Initially I had no idea about this, I'll be honest, and none of the setup videos I'd seen to that point actually mention Wi-Fi at all. They talk about plugging in the USB, but yes, there is Wi-Fi, so don't worry about getting that really long USB cable. Just get your laptop or your computer near the machine, sort out the Wi-Fi through the xTool Studio program, and then you're well away and don't need a long cable for it. Okay, it works really well, and now on with the show. So here I'm doing the tutorial test piece. I haven't shown you much of the setup because once you install the xTool Studio it is pretty self-explanatory, to be honest, and there are no doubt many explanations of that, whereas what I'm trying to show you more is my own experiences of how this is going along and how it's gone together. I was very impressed with this part of it. Okay, so the project is actually running. So I've done a bit of a shortcut on this because I'm sure that, well, I'm quite certain you'll have seen something like this before. So here is the process I've been through. I had to go through a load of admin and things like that, and basically we've now got to the point where everything is running. So I'm just doing this lovely little star pattern here. I'm using the bit of 3mm basswood that plywood that came with the unit. I've got the fume extractor running as well. I'm not entirely convinced of how efficient it is because I can still smell wood smoke in the room. It's actually not bad. It's very light, and I think part of the problem might be not to turn it up too much, because if it's dragging air out of the unit too quickly, I think it's actually dragging air through the filter. But without a doubt all the air is going out of it and is being extracted through from the unit. So that's working, and you can see the laser working there. It's working pretty quickly, which is just as well, because obviously the advice here is do not leave the unit unattended. There is a fire taking place, in a controlled environment, and it is not impossible with certain materials for this to get out of hand. I do actually have a fire extinguisher just here, but right by the door, so you know, and I will not leave this room until that work is completed. I will obviously continue to use the fume extractor. You can actually see a fair bit of smoke building up there. There's a camera there whose job is to watch out for the possibility of the material igniting. There's a flame camera and it's just under this little triangle here. So that's watching out for this. It's getting through it pretty quickly. And you can see a few wisps of smoke, especially under there. You can see there's definitely smoke, but it's all being extracted, and it's all, I think the actual extractor is doing a pretty good job of making sure it doesn't get too smoky in here. I don't know. I may need to take a view on whether this extractor is really doing what I thought it would, even with its 3 levels of filtration. Might take it apart after this and see just how affected it has been. Now, what I've noticed some users of this device do, they actually have what looks like a kind of griddle tray underneath the unit, and it's effectively preserving the metal base of the cutter, and I can see that being a good thing. That might be something I do in future. You know, this is 3mm wood. I do wonder what it would be like if I was using anything heavier. It will cut in up to 8mm in a single pass, and that's with the 10-watt laser. The 20-watt laser will cut up to 10mm in a single pass, which doesn't sound like much of an improvement over the 10-watt laser, does it? And I have to ask myself, how frequently am I going to try and cut a 10mm thick piece of plywood using this device? The answer is probably not very often. And you know what, I think I'd be tempted to actually put the pipe out the window for such things. As it is, I'm starting to wonder whether that might be the best overall option. But for now it's working. You know, it's taking smoke away nicely, and we're almost there. So it's just doing the finer cuts in the middle there. I'll be interested to see what kind of residue it leaves on the steel base as well, whether it's marked that in any way, because of course this can't cut metal, but it can etch it. I'm not sure it's doing as good a job as I hoped it would do. Maybe the dedicated xTool one would more. I don't know. I think all the smoke is actually, it's all being contained. I don't think there's a leaking out of the actual unit. Oh, here we go. It's getting into its final phase now. It's going to run around and make a star pattern on all of that. So let's come back to it once it's finished. Okay, so the project is finished. As you can see there, it took 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's go and have a look at the finished product. Now, I've left it for a moment for the smoke to dissipate. The fume extractor is still running. Let's have the lid up now. And let's have a look at what we've got here. And I'm going to leave the wood in place. Oh yeah, and you can see on there that it's taken the paint right off of the base plate. But look at that, that is absolutely beautiful. I mean, yes, it's wood, the edges are dark, and it's left me with lots of little tiny bits of diamond shaped wood. I'm going to try something else out of here in a minute. That's it really. This is the way to go. Now I will probably come back again and do something about the print side of this, but I've got to say that, you know, yes, I've got a few things to sort out, like maybe the fume extraction is still not up to ideal standards, and perhaps I need to put something in the base here that is going to stop that from being lasered so much. But overall, very, very happy. Thank you for watching, and if you do decide to get an xTool M2, I wouldn't blame you. It's a great instrument. Make sure you know what you want to do with it, or you've got some ideas of why you're getting it. I've got all sorts of thoughts on this, from wooden puzzles to ornaments like this. The printing side will come in useful occasionally, but the cutting side is really what I've got it for. It's a little laser party light I bought from AliExpress. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try something. And so what I've done here is I'm just shining it, as you can see, just beaming it off. I was looking to see how the air is looking in here after doing that bit of cutting. You can really see the beam of this laser in here. Now, earlier on I had this little gizmo running. I'm going to take you to the same place where I had it running from. I didn't really couldn't at all see the beam then in the air, but it's very visible now. And that tells me that quite a lot of smoke from the cutter must have emerged, and that's even on that only very small bit of cutting that I've just done. So that makes me think I'm going to have to rethink my fume extraction, because it's not good enough, which is annoying because it wasn't the cheapest device exactly. The filters do not seem to be doing enough, so maybe a more expensive air purifier is the way to go. Do bear that in mind. I think it's going to be a case of put the pipe out the window for the next project.